Well, I'm the founder of Judicial Watch, and at one point I left in 2003 to run for the Senate, and I started Freedom Watch. But during the years I was with Judicial Watch, we saw a pattern in practice of illegality by the Clintons. One of the things that was very true about them is that they sold everything they could get their hands on, whether it was access or overnight stays in the White House, pardons, seats on trade missions. I used to joke that, and they were selling most of this stuff, a lot of it to the Chinese, so I used to joke that I hope that their cat inside the White House was not sold to the Chinese. But even the Chinese laughed at that. But it's not funny. And this is the way Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton have done business. And they're extremely power hungry. They are greedy, and they don't know when to stop. And towards the end of the 90s, when the administration was turning over to George W. Bush, Hillary Clinton even stole some of the White House furniture. She had to bring it back. So what you're seeing right now with regard to her sale of access to the State Department when she was Secretary of State is nothing new. It's part of the pattern in practice. And we have filed a number of Freedom Information Act requests at Freedom Watch, so too have my former colleagues at Judicial Watch. You can see what we've done at freedomwatchusa.org. I am the founder, as I said, of Judicial Watch. I'm a lawyer. Judicial Watch is not actually run by lawyers, so they do more modest litigation, but they've had good success getting documents as well. And what those documents show is that Hillary Clinton sold her services as head of the State Department, as the Secretary of State, for money to the Clinton Foundation and also money for her political campaigns. And that's a crime. And when you hear it on TV, they use the word paid to play. Okay, that's a nice word, but the word is bribery. That's what it is. It's called bribery. And this is nothing new, as I've said. And one of the cases that we have is when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, one of her duties was to decide whether or not to grant waivers for companies and interests and countries to do business with the Islamic Republic of Iran. And we believe, and there's some evidence of this in Peter Schweizer's book, Clinton Cash, because he's tracked it as well, a number of people have looked at this, that she indeed did sell those waivers for money to the Clinton Foundation. And some of the documents that came out last week shows that she was also selling access to advisory committees of individuals, and when that was exposed, they quit. But what we see today, I don't know when you're going to broadcast this report, but you see how the Democrats play the game, is that once they get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, Democrats meaning Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, Democratic Party, is that they try to smear the Republicans and it becomes mutual assured destruction. And during the 1990s, when I sparked the Chinagate scandal, which was selling government services by the Clintons in the White House for large campaign contributions so they could be reelected, the Democrats dug up dirt on the Republicans. Not as much, but they dug up some dirt. And there were campaign finance hearings at that time. And both sides decided to shut it down. It's mutual assured destruction. So what I said on Fox News last week is really true, is that it's a club in Washington. It's like the National Football League. You have the American Conference. You have the National Conference. The Republicans are one, the Democrats are the other. One is a lot worse than the other. The Democrats are a lot worse than the Republicans when it comes to corruption, but they're both corrupt, and they both cover for each other. And that helps explain why the FBI Director Comey, realizing, in my view, this is my supposition, realizing that if he ever had recommended the indictment of Hillary Clinton, he could have never been appointed and confirmed for another position in Washington. The Democrats would have blocked it. So he took a dive, and frankly, the Republicans have taken a dive. Because to them what's more important is to continue the cash cow in Washington. And the American Conference and the National Conference, they all play the game, they'll go on cable TV, but our country deludes itself into thinking that we're not as corrupt as the rest of the world, and in fact we are. And that's the reason for being for Freedom Watch, is that we're a private attorney general. We bring cases. Just last week I brought a case against Hillary Clinton on wrongful death and defamation with regard to the sons of Pat Smith and Charles Woods, brave patriots who were killed in Benghazi. Hillary Clinton through use of the private email server, compromised their whereabouts along with the ambassador Stevens. And she also then defamed my clients, called them liars, when they simply repeated that she had told them that the attack was not the result of terrorism, but the result of a video that criticized the Prophet Muhammad. This woman is the most corrupt, and short of Obama, who I believe is the worst president in American history, and frankly the most evil, but this woman's even more criminal than he is. He's, of course, off doing his pro-Muslim thing all the time, and supporting only his people, but not the rest of the American people. But she's a hardened criminal. And a 1-2 punch of the two of them, and I don't endorse any candidates because I'm head of a public interest group, but just the reality is that if she's not held accountable under the bar of justice, this country has few years left under her stewardship if she becomes president. She's simply a criminal. What we know about Abedin is that she is a Palestinian. She is very sympathetic to the Muslim Brotherhood. We know that Barack Obama invited, through her offices and others, the Muslim Brotherhood to meet with him in the White House. This is the granddaddy of all terrorist groups. It's the granddaddy of Al-Qaeda. And, I'm one of the few people that'll say it. I don't know about you, Tim, but this president was born half Muslim. In his heart, he's all Muslim. He's done everything he can to harm the state of Israel. I believe he's an anti-Semite. He's also anti-Christian. And the Republicans are too cowardly to take him on. And so Abedin was the greaser that helped get the Muslim Brotherhood into the White House, but there have been very few documents revealed thus far about her direct links to the Palestinians. We're still fighting to get them. Well, it's not. And to be candid, and I don't know one way or the other, and I'm not homophobic or anything, Tim, okay? But the evidence suggests that she's one of Hillary's girlfriends. That's a reality. And they have a very close relationship. And that may help explain why her husband is a pervert, okay, to be blunt. So it's similar to Hillary's relationship with Bill. So, yeah, I mean, I'll say it straight up. I mean, everybody in Washington knows this. So, but the Republicans are too cowardly to do it. And, I don't condemn anyone on their sexual preference or whatever, but be honest about it. And in this case, there's a very close relationship between Hillary Clinton and Abedin. Helps explain a lot of the things that went on. And why did they compromise this, okay? Compromises it because they're both in the closet. That's why it compromises it, and they can be blackmailed. That's my view. Okay? If they want to litigate it, I'll be happy to litigate it. But that does create a security risk. There's nothing wrong with being gay or being a lesbian, but you should be honest about it. Well, more than impeachment, lying under Congress is a crime. For every lie under 18 U.S.C. 1001, you get 10 years. She did lie to Congress. But again, don't expect Congress, particularly under Jason Chaffetz, to do much other than to want to get on Fox News. I mean, let's be blunt. The guy in 8 years, and his predecessor, Issa, I'm having a little block right now. They're in it for show. They're not in it for dough, because they have enough to have brought about justice with regard to IRS scandals, with regard to Eric Holder, Fast and Furious. Eric Holder lied under oath. You have James Clapper, who appeared in front of that committee and other committees and lied about the NSA, said that they weren't spying on everybody. This is the reason why, and this is why I try to talk clearly, because we don't have a lot of time. We got to be honest. And I can be a little bit clearer here than I can on Fox. And I love Fox. They're great. But, I sense that you'll let me say what I want. And that is that the country is so totally corrupt, top to bottom, that we're sinking under a sea of corruption. And I'm not endorsing Donald Trump, because that's not what I do. But that's why they're trying to destroy him right now. Because he came in and he said months ago, look, I know how it works. I bribed everybody. Now I don't have to bribe him anymore. I've got $8 billion. I want to do something for this country. And he's doing it sometimes in an artful way, and he's letting them, destroy him. But the Republicans are more of an enemy to him than the Democrats. They've stabbed him in the back. And they're deathly afraid that he's going to break up their cash cow, their money train, and their power train. And this country is in a worse condition than we were under King George III. That's my opinion. And it is so totally corrupt. We're more corrupt than Brazil. Brazil is trying a president right now for bribery named Lula. He was a communist. And they're also impeaching their current president, and she had to step down. When have we ever legally removed a president? Only Richard Nixon resigned voluntarily. This country is so thoroughly corrupt. And the justice system, and I'm an alumnus of the Justice Department, I was proud of it as a young lawyer, it's totally corrupt. So that's the dilemma that I face every day, Tim. I think about what can we be doing peacefully and legally to turn this country around. And it's upside down. And Hillary Clinton is the worst example. I call her the wicked witch of the left. She's the worst example of all. I mean, Barack Obama hates Jews, he hates Christians, he hates Israel, he's done everything he can, started a race war. Okay, the Republicans let him do it, and they sit there, and that's why they're going to be thrown out. It's going to be totally Democrat administration and Congress probably after November, because the people don't have any respect for them. They're worthless. They're less than worthless. They're cowards. And on the Democrat side, they're criminals. And that's what we're facing right now. Well, there's a lot that's going on. The world's upside down. I hope people will look at our website, freedomwatchusa.org. Freedomwatchusa.org. You'll see what's been going on. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But I feel very strongly about the state of this country, and a lot of people do. But we are being disserved by the politicians in office. We're being disserved by most of the judges. There are some good judges. I've experienced at least 5 in my entire 40-year career, which isn't, it's pretty sad, in the political realm. And we need to fight, and we need the support of the American people, and I urge them to do it peacefully and legally. But that's becoming increasingly difficult with Black Lives Matter and Louis Farrakhan. I brought a case on that, too, for inciting violence down in Dallas. The country's being torn apart, and as we speak, they're rioting in Milwaukee. There's no respect for anybody. So people say that we're united and let's not be divided. Well, we're not united. We should be united. We need to stop the race baiting. We need to stop the bigotry. We need to be honest. We need not to persecute anybody, whatever your color, race, color, or sexual preference. I feel strongly about that. But people need to talk clearly, and they need to call a spade a spade. And that's what we're trying to do at Freedom Watch. And we're trying to bring legal actions, and we pray that we get good judges that will get good results. Stay tuned. But if we don't deal with this peacefully and legally, and I pray that this will never happen, this country is going to explode. And we're starting to see it right now. And Barack Obama, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, the whole lot of them have done their best to pit white against black, black against white. The country's exploding. We have a security risk with regard to Muslim immigration. We risk becoming like Germany and France and the rest of the European nations who frankly are doomed. And we can't even talk intelligently about that without people calling you racist. And then we've got Hillary Clinton on the horizon, who's now going to try to divide the sexes and pit man against woman and woman against man. And we can't allow that to happen. So when you listen to what they have to say at their convention, it's all sales. And then the Republicans on the other side, as I've said, Tim, they're cowards. And frankly, they're worthless. And, there's a good deal of corruption in the Republican Party, too, believe me. But the American people need to rise up, and we need to, not to use a cliche, we need to take our country back because it's sinking really fast. And that's my message. So people look at freedomwatchusa.org. They can see what we're doing to be the People's Justice Department, because we really don't have a Justice Department that represents the people. You're welcome. God bless you, Tim. Thanks for having me on.